Hey, good morning. I'm Patricia Murphy. It's Thursday. This is Seattle Now. Nothing like a splash in the water to help beat the unbearable temperatures this week. But before you dive in, check your beach. It could be closed. King County water field testers are out all summer checking the water for bacteria and toxic algae that could make you and your pets sick. We'll tag along for a test at Lake Sammamish in a minute. But first, let's get you caught up. The Seattle City Council is gearing up to pick the candidates for the open District 5 seat this morning. The council plans to talk through the list of applicants starting at 9:30. The public will have time to comment as well. The council is expected to make a final decision on July 28th. A Seattle City Council committee is meeting tomorrow to discuss how the recently passed federal budget bill will impact Seattle. The city's Office of Intergovernmental Relations says the bill and new federal requirements will force Seattle to make hard decisions around taxes, services, and infrastructure and capital projects. The Seattle Human Services Coalition will also discuss cuts to King County's sexual assault service centers and Seattle's senior centers. And seriously, if you're traveling this weekend, plan for some major traffic adjustments starting Friday. It's the start of 30 days of lane closures along northbound I-5 in Seattle. 4 miles of highway will close completely beginning Friday night just before midnight. The stretch will reopen Monday morning, but some of the lanes will be closed until mid-August. It's all part of an effort to repave the Ship Canal Bridge, which the Seattle Times says has required more than 200 urgent pothole repairs over the past 5 years. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now. It's not uncommon for local beaches to have high levels of bacteria or toxic algae during the summer months. Just yesterday, Seattle King County Public Health closed Green Lake's East Beach, Juanita Beach, and Lake Marcel. The closures were based on water samples collected by environmental scientists like Wyatt Klepak. We tagged along with Wyatt to learn more about how the process works.
We're here at Tibbetts Beach and Lake Sammamish State Park.
All right, and you do this kind of testing how many times a week?
We do testing at the beaches once a week. So we go out Mondays and Tuesdays. Mondays we're at North King County beaches and South King County beaches, and then today we're here on the east side doing the east beaches.
Not a bad gig.
No, I love spending time outside, and you can't beat this weather, and it's a great time, yeah.
And how many will you do today?
I have about 10 beaches that I'm going to.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of rotates with this specific day. Some days we're also going out to like Pine Lake, Beaver Lake, and Lake Sammamish, the landing park up north on the lake.
Wefa Tafesh is usually back at the lab waiting for the results from Wyatt's samples. But today, she's out in the field with us. So what do you do with it?
We review the data and we coordinate with Seattle King County Public Health, who looks at the data, matches it with our protocols, and decides whether a beach needs to be opened or closed.
Okay. And tell me, what are the things you're thinking about when you're opening or closing a beach? Again, it's not just about one rating.
Right. They're taking 3 samples at the beach, so we're looking at each of those samples. And if there are multiple high samples within a day, then that usually leads to a beach closures. If there is a single high sample, then we look at our 30-day metrics. So we have the geomean, and we have to look at how many other samples have been high within that last month. And then we also would then make decisions on whether that beach would be closed or open.
It's funny because what I'm hearing is there is a safe level of bacteria in the water. Tell me how you think about that.
Seattle King County Public Health has established that. But generally what it comes down to is they've looked at bacteria levels and they've decided the risk of illness and associated that. And so we are closing to prevent that risk of illness.
Okay. What causes high levels of algae and E. coli in our lakes?
Yeah, so when we're thinking of E. coli and bacteria, we're really looking at small localized poop problems. So that's usually something that's along the shoreline. So those notes that you collect that tell us like what's happening around the beach is really helpful. Usually it's something like poop from pets, humans, or wildlife that is washing into the shore. And it's usually small, localized problems.
Okay, and then there's an algae, sometimes a toxic algae issue. What causes toxic algae or even just any algae in our water?
Yeah, so toxic algae is going to be a problem when you have the right combination of temperature and nutrients, specifically phosphorus, within the water. And so we typically see them in late summer or early fall when we get a lot of heavy rainfall and we get a lot of nutrients that are washing into the lake. So, and then the weather is typically still warm at that time, so we may be seeing blooms. With algae, it's very visible. You could see a green scum. It could look like numerous different things. It could be like spilled paint, cloudy in the water. It could look like clumps of bright green algae. And yeah, if you see it, you want to avoid it.
What makes these things dangerous to swimmers and paddlers?
Algae, you can tell by looking at it if it's going to have high toxins. The only way we could do that is by collecting a sample and taking it to our lab. And we don't know as scientists when algae goes toxic. So the rule of thumb is when in doubt, stay out. So you just want to avoid it. Pets are particularly susceptible to toxic algae because it gets on their fur. They like to lick it off. It has like a sweet taste to them, I've heard. So you want to particularly keep your pets away from those areas of scum.
How long have you been with the county?
Since 2019.
Okay, so you've been around a little while. Have you noticed a change in the way the number of beaches closing? What have you noticed over the years?
Yeah, we haven't really seen much of a trend. So bacteria is very variable. We have really good data for the past 6 years from 2019 and on. And pretty much some years we have a lot of closures, some years we have fewer closures, and it just the way it works with bacteria.
There's no constant. Is temperature a factor?
I don't think we've seen that being a direct factor, but it's really random. It's variable.
All right. Hey, Wyatt, let's go test some water if you're ready.
Yeah.
What's your favorite beach to test?
Oh,
Do you have a favorite beach?
My favorite is Magnuson Beach in
Oh.
North Seattle. I grew up in Seattle, and Magnuson is very nostalgic for me, so I love to go there and sample the beach.
That's my favorite beach, too. So you're putting on gloves
Yep.
because this is an important part of your job, even though there's some kids waiting in here.
That's right.
Wyatt, you're gloving up.
I'm gloving up, yeah. I want to make sure that I'm not influencing the samples that I'm collecting out in the water.
Okay, all right. Go for it. Let's see what you do here.
This beach is very
This is lovely. So is it important that you go out a certain distance from the shoreline? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we're typically, each beach is a little bit different, but we're typically going out up to our knees. But yeah, each beach is a little bit different. The thought behind that is that this is the area that the kids like to hang out, and it's also where deep water swimmers will enter the water. So this is kind of where it captures both types of swimmers that will be using this type of water.
So which one is this?
So this is one of our E. coli samples.
I guess, selfishly, I would like to know what should paddle boarders and kayakers and recreationists think about when they're out in the water.
Yeah. I think an important thing is that whenever you're interacting with, a body of water like this, that you're not ingesting the water, and you're doing your best after you exit the water to, clean your hands, clean any extremities that were in the water that could be exposed to reduce the risk of things like swimmer's itch as well.
Oh yeah, that's a bad one too.
Yeah.
So hand sanitizer is my best route on my paddleboard, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's a nice convenient way to stay clean while you're out there.
All right, what are you testing for next here?
So next we're going to make our way to the middle swim beach. So we're going to make our way past these kids here.
These little guys depend on your reporting to keep their bodies safe in the water, Wyatt.
So here we're at the middle of the beach, so we're going to collect another E. coli sample as well as our algal toxin bottle.
Now here's a question. If you test up in North Seattle and shut down Matthews Beach, which happens quite frequently, actually. Matthews Beach is often closed. Why isn't Magnuson closed as well? How does that bacteria stay at Matthews Beach if it's just one body of water?
As Waffle was speaking earlier, a lot of these bacteria problems are very localized to these beaches. At Matthews Beach and Magnuson specifically, the way the geography works is, Matthews, we see it closed down a lot. Geese love to hang out there, but just the way the water moves is they have kind of areas where the water can come in and maybe not exit that area. So each beach is very different, and so that's why we test each beach as we do.
All right, what's next now?
So next we're going to take a temperature of the water. So here we're getting it kind of in the mid-water column, and we're going to let our thermometer equilibrate.
And what does the water temperature have to do with your data that you're trying to collect?
For one, it helps us kind of see temperature over time. You can kind of see as it increases throughout the season. We have a lot of swimmers that rely on our water temperature data to determine whether or not they want to go swimming. So we have that all of that data on our website so that they can know beforehand whether or not they'd like to swim in a certain temperature of water.
It's quite warm today.
Yes, yeah. So here we got our temperature, 26.1 degrees Celsius. It's nice and warm.
All right, give our Fahrenheit listeners.
Roughly, I'd say that's upper 70s, maybe low 80s.
As we suspected, beautiful.
Rough
beautiful.
math guess, yeah.
The water is beautiful. And was that your last sample that you had to take,
So
or we
those
go?
are our middle sites, so now we're going to head over to the right side of the beach.
Okay, now here's what I'm noticing about this side of the beach. There's a lot more vegetation in the water. Does that have anything to do with what you might find?
It won't necessarily influence our bacteria levels, so no.
Okay, all right. And I don't see any algae in the water.
No, we got a nice clean beach here, nothing on the surface. It's very natural to find algae on the bottom. It's like the filamentous green algae. But yeah, today it's a very clean beach.
Okay, so how many ounces are in those bottles, Wyatt?
These are 250 milliliters.
Okay, that's right. Y'all scientists are all metric.
Yeah, that's right. So those are our bottles that we've collected. We've got our temperature, and so that kind of concludes what physically getting in the water and collecting samples looks like.
So what happens now?
So here I'll transcribe some notes of what time I collected these samples and any notes about how many people were in the water, interacting with the water, swimming, wading, looking at how many waterfowl that we saw. We can walk along the shoreline here to see if there's anything noticeable worth noting that could contribute to the results that we see.
So you really need to consider the environment when
Absolutely,
you're reporting.
Yeah.
Great. Before I let you both go, what should people understand, swimmers and recreators and dog owners understand about beaches and bacteria and how to stay safe here?
It is easy to find a healthy beach, so you could go to kingcounty.gov/swimbeach. That is our homepage. That is where we post the information when we receive it. And we have that information because we test every week. That information on our webpage is up to date, and you will know if a beach is closed. We also have temperature data there, so if you are a swimmer and you want to see how warm it is, there's data there. And we also link to our public health swim safety page up there.
Very important.
Life jackets are important, lifeguards are important as well to stay safe on the water.
Yeah, we're going to be grazing 90 this week,
Yes.
so it is definitely a good time to check the King County website and get out to the beaches safely. Wyatt, really appreciate you meeting us out here today. Thank you so much for your work and
Thank
taking
you.
the time.
Thank you both.
That was King County Environmental Lab scientist Wyatt Klepak and water quality scientist Wefa Tafesh. We went out to Tibbetts Beach on Tuesday, and by the time you hear this episode, the results Wyatt collected that day will live on King County's website, and if any beach is deemed unsafe, it will already be closed today. Thanks for listening to Seattle Now. Today's episode was produced by Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers. It was edited by Caroline Chamberlain Gomez. Our production team also includes Andy Hurst, Vaughn Jones, Shane Mailing, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you soon.